The final whistle blew. Spain were champions of the world. And then something strange happened. The professionals who play this game for a living, the legends, the champions, the guys who usually hide behind safe PR answers, stopped being polite. On et bien. In television studios and post-match mix zones across 3 continents, they started saying the quiet part out loud. When you line up their comments side by side, it stops sounding like different opinions. It starts sounding like a verdict. A unanimous verdict. Forget what anyone else thinks for a second and let the players speak. They just told the truth about Spain versus Argentina, and it is brutal. Let us set the scene quickly because you probably watched it, and you definitely felt it. Spain won, Argentina 0. After extra time, a Ferran Torres finish in the 106th minute settled a final Spain controlled from the first pass. Argentina, the defending world champions. Lionel Messi's Argentina did not register a single shot in the first half, and never managed one on target across 120 minutes. The match itself was a war of attrition, with nearly 50 fouls in total. 4 Argentine yellow cards. A contest that traded entertainment for sheer on-field brutality. Enzo Fernandez got sent off in the final seconds of normal time for a studs-down lunge that launched a teenager into orbit, leaving Argentina to survive extra time with 10 men. And when it ended, instead of accepting defeat, several players tried to fight the winners. That is the game. Here is what the football world had to say about it. Start with the man who never sugarcoats anything. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, a guy who has spent his entire career refusing to flatter anyone, looked at this final and delivered his verdict flatly: football won today. He pointed straight at Argentina's 0 shots on goal, saying they finally got exactly what they deserved. He said they played dirty, and the whole world just watched how weak they really were. When Zlatan of all people tells you a team was weak, that is not a hot take, that is a diagnosis. Then a brilliant tactical mind stepped in. This is the part that matters because it reframes everything. Thierry Henry did not care about the post-match fights. He was mesmerized by what Spain did without the ball. When Spain lost possession, Henry noted, they wanted it back within 3 passes, every single time, because all 11 players defended with a discipline he called genuinely remarkable. That is the detail casual fans often miss. When people call a game boring, they are usually just watching the team with the ball. Henry was watching the team without it. He saw 11 players pressing as one organism, cutting off every escape route. They suffocated the reigning champions so completely that the Argentine attack simply had nowhere to breathe. Let that sink in. The story of this final was not just that Argentina played dirty. It is that Spain built a machine so perfect, Argentina were never allowed to hold the ball long enough to hurt them. Micah Richards backed up that view on the other side of the analysis, singling out Rodri, the Golden Ball winner, back from a serious knee injury that had people writing him off as the absolute best midfielder in the tournament. Richards also reminded everyone that Pep Guardiola flatly predicted Rodri would hit his peak at exactly this World Cup. Think about the year this man has put together. The Euros, the Ballon d'Or, a brutal knee injury, plus a comeback most players never manage, and now a World Cup, becoming the first Manchester City player ever to captain a side to the trophy. Richards looked at that insane trophy cabinet and simply said, wow. Pep called it, Rodri delivered it, and Spain lifted it. The mastermind behind the whole thing, Spain manager Luis de la Fuente, shared the secret afterward without a hint of arrogance. He explained the plan was built first and foremost around keeping Messi at bay. It meant keeping other dangerous Argentine players away from goal through sheer collective effort, everyone sacrificing for the team. Then he delivered the one line that should terrify the rest of the football world. Without Argentina's goalkeeper, Spain would have won by far more. And that is not even a boast. Just look at the stat sheet, the facts do not lie. To prove he was still human, De La Fuente joked about Marc Cucurella's famous promise to tattoo the coach's face if Spain won the whole thing. I am not that ugly. He joked, knowing full well his players are men of their word and are now basically obligated to get his face inked on their skin forever. That is a championship locker room loose, united, and absolutely lethal. Now back to the ugly side of things, because the players did not let it slide. This is where the verdict became completely unanimous. Roy Keane, a guy who spent his career happily kicking people, who genuinely loves the physical side of the game, drew the line. On Argentina's antics, he simply said they have to take their medicine. His point cut deep because he noticed these were the same Argentine players doing this exact stuff to England just a few nights earlier. But once it came back around to them, they simply could not handle it. In soccer, being told you can dish it out but cannot take it is just about the ultimate insult. Still, Keane praised Spain, calling them fantastic to watch and how they wore Argentina down. But his message for the losers was crystal clear. Gary Neville went even harder, calling it a disgrace on television, and crucially, he said this while still praising Argentina's competitive fire, while admitting he loves their fighting spirit and acknowledging Messi has carried this squad for years. That is why it really hit home. This was not coming from a hater. It was someone who respects them, telling the world that Argentina had disgraced themselves over their last few games, while openly questioning why the referees kept letting them get away with it. Alan Shearer painted an even more vivid picture, describing Leandro Paredes throwing 2 or 3 punches straight into an opponent's face, saying there is absolutely no place for that. Everyone knows how much losing hurts, but there is a right way to lose, and Argentina simply refused to find it. Joe Hart on the BBC used just 2 words for the post-match scene's disgusting behavior. He said Argentina could have absolutely no complaints about the final result. And while he thought Rodri should not have gotten in their faces, he understood why, after 120 minutes of constant provocation. Wayne Rooney watched Paredes keep pushing and fighting long after a world champion had already been crowned. He called it embarrassing and unacceptable, pointing out that Paredes is a better player than that. He just chose not to be. Let us actually look at what they were reacting to, because the camera footage cleared everything up. The entire brawl had a clear starting point, and the cameras caught it. As Spain's bench players rushed the field to celebrate, Rodri ran past Nahuel Molina, who suddenly punched him in the chest. Rodri stopped, turned, and squared up. Eric Garcia stepped in to break it up, but then Paredes arrived, grabbing Garcia by the throat, shoving him to the dirt, before swinging at Gavi and knocking him down as well, while Scaloni sprinted around like a stressed substitute teacher trying to stop a playground fight from completely exploding. Off to the side, Nicolas Otamendi got in Rodri's face with a cheap shot that had nothing to do with soccer and everything to do with sour grapes. "You were crying all week," he snapped, accusing the Spanish team of working the officials. That was Argentina's actual defense, by the way. Claiming Aymeric Laporte had publicly complained about their physical play before kickoff, which pressured the referee, it is a wild excuse. We are not the problem. The problem is that people accurately described what we do beforehand. Then came a moment that even the Argentine manager could not spin, despite his best efforts. As Spain went up to hoist the trophy, Argentina allegedly turned their backs while Scaloni, crying heavily during his press conference, insisted his squad had shown that they actually do know how to lose. A bizarre claim on a night that featured a petulant red card, nearly 50 fouls, a massive post-game brawl, and a boycotted medal ceremony. But this is where we have to pause and be fair, because those professional players were fair as well. Truth is, there are multiple sides to this story. Scaloni's tears were absolutely real. Here is a manager who won the entire tournament back in 2022 and came within 1 game of defending his crown. He was devastated. "Losing this hurts deep in my soul," he admitted, before conceding that Spain were the better team and deserved the victory. He called Messi the greatest player to ever step onto a pitch, marveled that at 39 the man is still doing this, and said he had 0 complaints about his players. Then he cast doubt on his own future. His contract ends in December, and he admitted he needs to talk with his federation. He said he needs to reset his mind, because building a group like this again might just be impossible. "It will be hard to build another team like this," he managed to say, before choking up and walking out mid-sentence. No matter what you think of how his players behaved, the man leading them was absolutely shattered by the beauty of what they built, and the pain of watching it end. And Neville was right. Messi really did carry this entire team, a lone genius surrounded, as one German pundit bluntly put it, by teammates who simply do not share his vision. Messi himself did not fight, he wept. And even the harshest critics left a door open for him. Even Keane, with all his usual harshness, suggested we probably shouldn't be too brutal on Argentina. Without Messi's magic to save them for once, they were just trying to find some other way to win a losing game. Playing physical, playing dirty, bending the rules is a tactic as old as soccer itself, and that is not a crime. The real crime happened after the final whistle, when the plan had already failed, and there was nothing left to fight for except a pride they refused to show. Meanwhile, Spain stayed completely classy, which only made Argentina's ugly meltdown look so much worse by contrast. De La Fuente praised his squad's incredible sacrifice, and gracefully refused to gloat over Messi. And Ferran Torres, the hero whose goal won the World Cup, dropped the quote of the night, not a single word about himself or Argentina. He said the goal was for 47 million people, meaning all of Spain, not just him or the 26 players, but everyone who believed. That was the crucial difference the players kept circling back to. One side made the final all about their own grievances. The other made it about an entire nation. There was a lighter side to this drama, and the ex-players did not spare FIFA either. For the first time in history, a World Cup final featured a massive Super Bowl-style halftime show. Madonna was driven onto the field by Ronaldo and Ronaldinho, plus BTS, Shakira, Bieber, and Burna Boy, even the Muppets, stretching the halftime break to over 27 minutes. When Rooney was asked live on the BBC for his highlight of the show, he did not blink. Honestly, my favorite part was when it was over. He explained that he likes the musical acts, but the show fell flat and he just wanted the soccer back. Roy Keane called it an anticlimax, joking only that it is always nice to see Shakira. The celebrities in the building may have loved it, but the purists watching at home wanted 11 versus 11, not a concert wedged into the biggest game on earth. Even on that, everyone agreed. Respect the game or get out of its way. The entire event had an American flavor, complete with commercial breaks and that massive halftime show, and Donald Trump himself handing over the championship trophy, later calling the tournament one of the greatest events ever held. FIFA truly got their full American experiment. Whether that is what a World Cup final actually needs is a question the biggest names in soccer answered pretty clearly. There is one last thread worth pulling, and it circles right back to fairness. Both Shearer and Rooney argued that Kylian Mbappe's 2 goals in the third-place game, which won him the Golden Boot over Messi, should not really carry the same weight. France was already knocked out, playing in what felt like an exhibition match, while Messi was grinding through a tense World Cup final against a Spain defense that conceded just 1 goal all tournament. Rooney admitted those goals count on paper, but called the whole thing unfair to Messi. Even in defeat, and even after the disgrace, the soccer world kept finding ways to respect what Messi represents. That tells you everything. You can deeply respect the icon and still be absolutely disgusted by the teammates around him. Both can be true. The legends of the game believe both. And here is the harsh truth they revealed, completely unified and unanimous. Spain did not just win. They were a machine of pure discipline, 11 players defending, winning the ball back in 3 quick passes, coached by a man who neutralized the best, yet still felt they left goals behind. Argentina did not just lose, they were completely exposed, dragged to the final solely on provocation and Messi's genius. When soccer finally overwhelmed them, they threw punches instead of accepting their defeat. Zlatan said soccer won. Henry praised their discipline. Keane said, take your medicine. Neville, Hart, and Shearer called it a total disgrace. And Scaloni, through his tears, said the only honest thing a beaten man could, they were better. That is the reality. When the winners, the losers, and every legend in between tell the same story, it is no longer an opinion, simply the truth. And that is the thing about a verdict this unanimous. It does not need anyone to shout it. It needs no conspiracy, and it needs no asterisk. The verdict was delivered in real time by the people who know this game better than anyone else. And every single one of them pointed to the same 2 things, a magnificent Spanish team and an Argentine side that could not lose like champions. The players did not spin it. For once, they just said it. Which reaction hit the hardest? Zlatan saying soccer won, Keane telling them to take their medicine, or the coach admitting defeat through tears? Leave your thoughts in the comments, I want to know. Coming up next, the complete tournament retrospective, every hero, every villain, and one final look at the wildest World Cup in history. Let us finish this journey together.